Good day, everyone. My name is Frederick, and I am a licensed immigration advisor at New Zealand Shores. In light of the recent announcements made by Immigration New Zealand, I'd like to briefly go over changes to the Accredited Employer Work Visa, or AEWV scheme, and how it may affect migrants and employers alike. Late last year, the New Zealand government announced reforms to the AEWV scheme, with implementation set to take place over the course of this year. Since then, we've received more clarity and information from Immigration New Zealand as to what the second phase of these changes entail. And I'd like to go over the 6 main points that will take effect in a few weeks' time from Monday, 10th of March, 2025. The first change, accredited employers will no longer have to pay specific wage thresholds for AEWV applications, namely the median wage requirement, $29.66 per hour. Instead, the New Zealand minimum wage rate will apply, and that's currently at $23.15 per hour, and increasing to $23.50 per hour on the 1st of April this year. In general, I'd like to think that this is a positive change for migrants and employers alike. There may be less barriers for employers to support migrants with visas because they no longer have such a high threshold to meet, and the entry point for salary is much lower and maybe more commensurate with what they are paying their local staff, for example. Bear in mind, however, that this change does not affect existing wages and employment agreements, and AWV holders still need to be paid in line with their employment and visa terms and conditions. Another consideration that employers need to make is that they must still pay the New Zealand market rate for the job. So, for example, this could benefit healthcare assistants or caregivers because their market rate for the role can start from minimum wage depending on their experience. However, for those in higher level positions, they still need to be paid the New Zealand market rates, which would often be higher than the median wage rate in the first instance. So definitely something to be mindful of, and it's certainly something that we check as part of our service to both employers during the job check stage and also individuals during the AEWV application stage. I've also been asked several times recently about how the removal of the median wage requirement could affect a migrant's prospects for residency. And the answer to that is, unfortunately, there are no changes to the wage rate required to gain residency through either the Green List Tier 1 and Tier 2 or the skilled migrant category pathways. The minimum wage rate that applies would still be, at present, $31.61 per hour to be eligible. In terms of the second change, in recent times, for a migrant to be approved an accredited employer work visa, they would have needed to, number one, meet the employer's requirements for the role, and number two, meet Immigration New Zealand's minimum skills threshold, which require a migrant to hold either a level 4 qualification or above, or at least 3 years relevant work experience. Now, with these recent changes, employers will now be able to hire migrants with relevant work experience of 2 years instead of 3, which again is a positive change and certainly helps to increase the pool of people available for employers and hopefully making it easier for migrants to meet those requirements. The third change is that employers will no longer need to provide evidence of their engagement with work and income upfront in their job check applications. Instead, employers will need to declare in good faith they have advertised lower skilled roles with work and income and interviewed suitable candidates. Although it is now declaration-based, it's still prudent to actually undertake this engagement and keep evidence of this just in case Immigration New Zealand asks for it later, which they have every right to. The last thing you want is for Immigration New Zealand to make a request and you're unable to provide evidence, which could negatively impact your current and future applications as well as your employer accreditation status. So something to look out for. The fourth change is with regards to the AEWV duration. So for ANSCO skill level 4 and 5 roles, this will increase to 3 years to align with the maximum continuous stay. Those currently on 2-year visas will be able to apply for a further year. So this is self-explanatory, and obviously welcome news to those who were running out of time with their current visa and find themselves with no option to extend. So if you're on a 2-year visa, you can potentially claim another 3-year visa. So if this applies to you, please don't hesitate to reach out, because we'll be more than happy to help with the extension. The fifth change is with regards to the fact that migrants will need to earn at least $55,844 per year to support dependent children. So this equates to about $26.85 per hour based on 40 hours per week. This applies to new visa applications submitted from the 10th of March. So the previous income threshold, which was $43,322.76, will still continue to apply where a child has held a visa on or had already applied for a visa before the 10th of March. This basically ensures that children who are already here in New Zealand don't have to leave if their parent can meet the old threshold but not the new one. So that remains a positive change, I believe. And the sixth and final change I wanted to cover was that some ANSCO skill level 4 and 5 roles will now be recognized as skill level 3, which is great. And those roles include cooks, pet groomers, kennel hands, nannies, fitness instructors, scaffolders, slaughterers, agricultural and horticulture, mobile plant operators, excavator operators, forklift drivers, and mobile plant operators not elsewhere classified. So it's quite a number of roles, right? So what does it mean for these people? Well, two positive things I'd like to think. One is that migrants in these roles could now potentially spend up to 5 years on an AEWV rather than just the maximum of 3. And then this could also open up residence pathways towards the skilled migrant category without the person needing to be earning high pay. For example, if the migrant held a level 7 bachelor degree or above, they could now potentially get 3 points under the skilled migrant category and then work the 3 years once they step onto that higher skill level role, skill level 3, and then get residency at the end of those 3 years. So if you are working in a role covered by these changes and want to explore your eligibility towards residency, please do contact us, as we can confirm your eligibility and work out a plan to get you on this pathway. Now, with all these changes in mind, I'm certain that there are many migrants and employers alike who are in the process of applying for job checks and AWVs right now, and are wondering how these changes apply to their circumstances. Well, for example, in some instances, if an employer applied for a job check before the 10th of March, but want it processed under these changes, if the changes are in your favor, Immigration New Zealand may actually consider whether an exception is appropriate or not. And if they don't believe so, they may even decide to hold the application until such time that the new changes have come into effect. So as each situation is unique, I do invite you to reach out to us by email at info@newzealandshores.com or by calling us on 07 929 2280 to discuss these and see how we can help. So that concludes this webinar, and I hope that it was informative and worth your time. Thank you so much.